Alrighty. Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to Retention Chronicles. Super excited for our guest here today, coming in from Austin, Texas. Eric, hello. So happy to have you here.
What is going on?
Nothing much. It's been a great Thursday so far. I don't know if you know this, but Malomo has a 4-day work week. So you're actually the last person that I get to cap off my week with, which is always fun.
Oh, nice. You're just thinking about, having a nice glass of margarita or something.
Yeah, all everything. Yeah, no, it's a beautiful day too. I'm going to hot yoga later, so I'm super excited for it. Yeah, how's your day been so far? I know we were just talking about it, but for the listeners, can you share?
Yeah, so a couple things. I put on a small meetup once a month called Cuts and Capitalism. It's kind of like a
Mm.
private invite only event of e-com people and some entrepreneurs who I admire. So we had that this morning over at our barber shop. And then we had a kind of a unique offer for our customers today as well. So it's been a pretty good sales day, which has been hard to come by lately. So it's been a nice Thursday.
Yeah, I love that. Good way to kick off the morning, I'm sure. Our CEO does a similar, sounds similar from outside looking in, talking with our customers like once a month, just getting like kind of the lowdown on what people are seeing in e-commerce. But before we dive into the promo that you all ran today, can you give us your background? Tell us a little bit about why you're sitting in the seat that you are currently. I think that would be that would provide some great context for our listeners.
Yeah, so my name's Eric Bandholz. I'm the founder of Beardbrand. Beardbrand is a men's grooming company that sells products, obviously for your beard, but we've grown beyond the beard over the years. So we have hair care products, we have skincare products, soaps, deodorants, colognes. If you're a dude, I've got a product for you. So I don't care if you have a beard or not beard. That's like the worst excuse I hear. Um, but we've been bootstrapped. So we've been doing this for 11 years now. Started primarily through our organic channels like YouTube, blogging, and we've done a bit of paid on and off over the years and grown organically. In addition to that, I have my own podcast called E-commerce Conversations, where I talk with other e-com operators and tend to I tend to stay away from more of the kind of like business stuff and talk more about
Mhm.
like the life of being an entrepreneur and those elements that a lot of people don't talk about to find balance and try to build like sustainability in your business. I think there's this is a little bit of a rant, but I think there's
No,
too
I
much
love
of
it.
a too much of an emphasis on like the exit or growth
Mm.
for the sake of growth, and we lose reflection of being able to spend time with our kids and watching them grow older and building strong relationships with your loved ones, your partners, your spouse, which can be very challenging with the swings of the business, especially if things are not going well in the business. So trying to help listeners remember that, remember the why behind why we work. At a certain point when you find enough success, I, I think it behooves most people to understand why they're working.
Hmm.
And for some, it is, that money scorecard and they got to win. But for many others, that's not the right answer.
Yeah, I love that. That's not much of a tangent at all, honestly. We get into that a lot on this podcast. I think it comes from just our team dynamic here at Malomo. It's very similar in terms of like always trying to be grateful and aware of why we work, how we're balancing work and our life outside of there and of. And I was just telling you, we have a 4-day work week here. And part of the reason that we have that 4-day work week is so that my coworkers who have families, I don't have any children myself, but so that they can find that balance. And then, they get to use that Friday to either have a flex day or find some of that time with their kids, during summer while school's out, whatever, however you want to use the day,
Yeah.
to do that. And I talk to a lot of founders about kind of how they've had that balance, especially in the earlier days of the podcast. And our CEO talks about it pretty openly of like the struggles of trying to lean on your significant other for support or how to try and balance the two, but also how to, you know, categorize the two. Cause you don't want, like one of his things that I feel like I've learned from joining Malomo has been you'll never have like two separate lives, right? Like one will always bleed into the other. And so whether or not it's, you're bringing work home or you're bringing home to work, you want to try and obviously have both of those parts of you be the best that they can be. So I love hearing about kind of maybe less of the business.
The important thing is like I like to remind listeners that there is no right or wrong way to build a business, and different businesses have different purposes and different reasons for existing. So there is no one blueprint, as much as, like beginners may be searching for that perfect business blueprint. You do have trade-offs, like when you don't grow as fast, you don't grow as fast. And if you have investors or outside partners or, debt obligations or inventory you got to move through, like those are the consequences of the growth. So it's kind of understanding that and recognizing the advantages and recognizing the disadvantages that come along with it as well, because it's fun to talk about growth. It's fun to talk about how we had our best year ever and we made millions of dollars more this year than last year, and look at us, we're so rapidly growing.
Nice and shiny. Yeah.
Yeah. And not a lot of people are like, oh, well, I got divorced and, my kids don't talk to me. And I've gotten really fat and unhealthy and I've got a bunch of medical bills. Like no one's going around preaching about that. So it's
give and take.
Yeah.
Energy. Yeah. Energy. Oh God, I took physics, but it's like energy flows, right? It never goes away. It just flows to some other state. Big believer in that personally. Okay. So I'm sure, any of our listeners who are familiar with you might know your founding story, but for those who aren't, could you give us a synopsis of how you started Beardbrand, how you kind of got there?
Yeah. So I used to be a financial advisor at a mega bank and hated working there. I quit working there. I grew out my beard and started like a design business, and in doing so, going to networking events. People will call me Grizzly Adams or Duck Dynasty and ZZ Top, and those are cool dudes, but they're also not me. Like I'm a little more urban in nature, a little more city oriented. I got some really soft hands, and as I ended up attending this event with other bearded guys, and I realized there's this community of people who didn't fit the traditional stereotype of a bearded guy. Now this is way back in 2012, so like the founding story is really kind of dated now, but because nowadays anyone can have a beard, anyone grows a beard, and people of all walks of life have beards. But 11, 12 years ago, that was not the case, where if you were more white collar, if you're a lawyer, a doctor, entrepreneur, businessman, salesperson, you were not allowed to wear facial
typical
hair.
Yeah.
Disney had it banned, UPS had it banned. A lot of policies were against having facial hair. So a lot of that's changed, and I would like to think that Beardbrand had a big part in that through our YouTube channel and our blog and our content, and helping guys feel comfortable, growing their beards if they want to grow their beards, but also not, talking down to them if they chose not to grow a beard. So we respect a man's right to grow his beard as much as it is to shave off his beard. And really what we want is the guy looking back at him in the mirror to love that person. And we believe that when he has that love for himself, that he becomes a better partner, a better father, a better, team member, a better leader in the community. And ultimately through self-improvement, we're going to make the world a better place, rather than through this kind of top-down strategy of force and trying to will people into certain ways.
Yeah, I love that aspect of it. I feel like there's just, in today's day and age, not enough of like, you want to do something for yourself, and so like out of self-love and self-improvement. So I love that even from 2020 or 2012, it sounds like was part of your foundation as a brand. And I feel like I can't remember the year exactly, but when I was first like introduced to Beardbrand, and I have like a younger brother, so I think it was just popping up from like organic, and honestly something that was trending. And it was really cool because I was like, I remember the first time being introduced, and being like, oh, like I feel like my younger brother should see this. Like that would probably be a really good, like a really good learning moment for him, when you're in your earlier days, when he was, I think, hitting puberty at the time. And it was like, that's what I hope, we're trending towards that area, which is really cool to see now sitting here years later, getting to chat with you.
Yeah, it's really interesting to talk about it, because I do believe that men, and especially young men, are getting a lot of mixed messages with
Mm-hmm.
like how to be. There's almost this polarization of this fight between like hyper masculinity and all those like really traditional roles, and then like the kind of like the, I don't know if it's Gen Z or just like the young people today, and just kind of like pronouns and like gender fluidity and nothing's binary, and just like this battle where men don't know where to fall in line, and we take it from a perspective that we're not really telling you there's one way or the other. What
Mm-hmm.
we're telling you is like you have to evaluate yourself and look at yourself and understand yourself, and then think about like, how do I become a better version of myself? How do I, you can see my flag over there, keep on growing, that's our tagline. So how do I keep on growing and become a better version of myself, whatever that version may be? Like it's
Mm-hmm.
not about fitting into certain kind of societal norms. It's about finding your own pathway and finding out what works best for you, because the reality is, the smallest minority in the world is the individual, and very few people aim to protect the individual. So we're big believers in the individual, and when you have individuals, you have so much diversity and variety and um, uniqueness that you aren't going to get by trying to categorize everyone into like, this is a this type of person, this is this type of person, you guys should fight.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's all kind of silly, but it is to a certain degree the world we live in.
Yeah, it's something about human nature. You want to try and make sense of it all, but that's a fallacy. You'll never be able to, right? So, yeah, I think that's awesome. And the fact that you all can give the tools to someone that if they look in the mirror and they say like, oh, this is something I'm not even sure, but I want to experiment in. And if you don't have someone else in your life who maybe could teach you that role, for you all to step in and be like, okay, here's this YouTube video that like shows you how to do X, Y, and Z, or like the products that you should use if you're trying to achieve this look or that look, whatever, right? Like it's just the enablement, and it's not you know, the acceptance of like, this is the only way that you can do something, but it's just, if you choose to do so, then here's something that might help you. And I think that's something that as brands, especially in the like D2C space, I see that more and more, where education first. And I think I like, as a consumer, as a person as a whole, I admire that approach rather than the sales pitch perhaps
Well, I'll
coming
tell you,
first.
life that way is a lot harder,
Mm-hmm.
because a lot of this kind of goes back to my experiences. I went to public school in South Carolina, and it was just like, take these tests, get A's and B's, you'll do good, you go on to college. Pick a major that you think you enjoy, get good grades, you'll get a job. Do what the boss says, do a good job, you'll make a lot of money, you'll be happy, you'll retire. And it was this whole expectation of just like, come in and do as you're told, and life will be great. And me personally, I always struggled because I didn't feel like I was one of those people who could just do what I was told
Mm-hmm.
and enjoy it. I know there's a lot of people out there who thrive in that type of environment. Um, and there's some safety in that. And it's like, okay, if I just follow to the experts or the leaders or the authorities and in society, then I'll be safe and okay. And so I think a lot of people are drawn to that comfort. But when you realize that you have the true free will to do whatever you want in the life and build whatever you want in life, and from my perspective as a founder of a company that focuses on serving men, like I have an ability to kind of shape the way that society thinks about facial hair, and it
Mm-hmm.
shapes the way that society thinks about men and how men can think. And I don't have to play these games. I can create my own pathway. That to me is the beauty of entrepreneurship, and really being an individual and understanding that going back to business is like, how do I build a business? What's the blueprint for a business. It's like, well, you could follow what they tell you in college, write
Hmm.
out your business plan and you go get a loan, you go, do whatever the
Yeah.
heck they tell you,
Your
or you can
audience,
go
your
and
target audience. Yeah. All the
yeah,
ICP,
yeah,
everything.
do your market research
Yep.
and da da da
Yep. Yep.
da. Or it's like, there's so many different ways of doing it. It's like, do I want to raise money? Do I not want to raise money? Like, do I want to grow to, $100 million? Do I want to grow to $1 million? Do I want to grow to $500,000 and have no employees and, do what I love? Like there's so many different ways of doing it that if you just go in and you follow this blueprint, you may be following and building something that you hate, that you find
Hmm.
miserable. Like, reporting to investors could be like drudgery for you, or it could be brilliant. You may love raising money and that experience. So, um, take that time to like journal and figure out what you love about life and the things that you love, and build a business that is conducive to that. Because when you do that, you're going to be able to do it for, I mean, I've done it for a decade, and knock on wood, if I can, I'll do it for another decade
Yeah.
and another. And I think like that's one of the keys to entrepreneurship that nobody talks about, is like, how do we build a sustainable business, not in the sense that it's profitable or making money, or in the sense that it's good for the environment and whatever, but sustainable in the sense that you enjoy working on the business for long periods of time, and that the problems that you face in business are worthy problems of you wanting to fight and solve those problems.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, so I'm going to continue this because I love hearing about this so much. And the question that was coming to mind was, so you don't have investors or those people that you have to answer to, that you strategically built your company that way. And so I want to dive into that, and I also want to dive into, how do you then, like, from this team belief, how do you make sure that, like, trickle down effect, all the other people who are working at Beardbrand also believe on that? Like, how do you get team mentality? I would love to hear your thoughts on, like, how you kind of keep that morale, keep everyone on the same page.
Yeah, I mean, I think like the way we're building the business, because it is, closer to a lifestyle business, you don't have that necessary need to hire really quickly.
Mm,
And because of that, we're making one or two hires a year. We can hire really slow and make sure we have the right people. And then if they're not the right fit, we can let them go. So the team's pretty small, like 10 people. And when you have 10 people, it's pretty easy to see who fits into that and who doesn't fit into that. But beyond that, in terms of like the organizational structure, we do have core values, which are freedom, hunger, and trust. And those are integrated into, how we make decisions. They're integrated into the hiring process at Beardbrand. So people live it and know it every single day. And it's kind of how we make decisions with, just the vendors we choose, or if we have a situation with a customer. And then, we talk about the mission and, what we're trying to do in terms of helping men love the person looking back at them in the mirror, and how our products can serve that, and how we can support and level up our customers. So we've certainly had challenges. I think the hardest thing or one of the challenges to the business was in hiring in the early years. And we got, it was a blessing and the curse. Like the first person we hired, we just posted on Craigslist, and it was like a $12 an hour employee at the time, just kind of like an assistant. And this person was great. Like they're just
wow.
like would take on any work, was hungry to learn, represented our core values. And we're like, oh, this hiring is easy. So like we never had, because we hired an excellent person on the first hire, we didn't really have this need to improve our processes. And then we went through like a series of just like bad hiring processes until we
Mm.
finally implemented, we call it like a top grading hiring process. If you Google top grading, we've tweaked it to our own needs, but basically you're asking for references and doing, um, kind of like third party perspective questions, like what is your boss going to say when we ask them how you work? And then we go and we do a
Ah.
reference check, and we kind of verify that's what they would say or not say. And,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. See how close it
So
is.
it's kind of like it's a way to like weed out kind of like the C and below players because they're not going to have good warm references. And then from there it's just kind of finding like you can have an A player that doesn't fit your culture. Um, and those are really frustrating because you have to let someone go who is incredibly talented, but like we have a very little management and structure in our organization. So the people who thrive at Beardbrand do really well with ambiguity and like uncertainty and being able to find their own problems. So some people love that environment and some people like more concrete, like show me what to do and I'll do a good job.
Yeah, it goes back towards like knowing yourself. I feel like looking in the mirror and being like, okay, this is what I know. This is the type of environment I know will suit me. And just being able to have that match like on both levels from the company and then obviously the person, which it sounds like you all have been fortunate to find those people. So I think that's awesome. Okay, so I want to move us into a little bit more of the business chat. Just to find out like some techniques that I know that's not what you focus on in your podcast. So I'm hopeful that you're excited to kind of get into the weeds a bit. I think a great note to start on would be talking about the promotion that you all ran today. I have a question that I was going to ask you anyways, which was what are your favorite marketing campaigns that you've ever run? So I'm curious to see if today marks the day, what learnings you had, all that fun stuff.
Yeah, so the promotion we ran today was long story short, we rebranded our products into aluminum packaging to be more sustainable. And we had some old stock that we didn't sell through that we rediscovered. So we offer that to our customers at a reduced price and kind of some of we used to have 6 fragrances and we went down to 3 fragrances. So like some people who really love the old fragrances legit could not buy them anymore. And, this was a chance to buy them one last time. So it's not, it's not something that I want to duplicate, like changing my packaging all over again and have extra stock and then, sell them at a reduced price. So, but it is nice to know that there's inventory that we're going to be able to unload and free up a little bit. So, we don't have to throw all that inventory away, in a number of years or whatever it is when they start to go bad. But so that's today's promotion, which is probably not very duplicable. But in terms of the ones that are my favorite, I'm a creative person, and we'll do collaborations and unique fragrances from time to time with the various people. We did one with like Chris Daughtry, who's a musician. And
Love
we did
Daughtry.
one with
Love Daughtry. Grew up on that. Yeah. That's
we
so
did
fun.
we did one with a YouTuber, Jeremy Sires, and he's got a nice audience, and so that was a good collaboration. And then we've done just some where it's like I got inspiration from like something from my childhood, like going down to the beach and the smells of the beach and being able to bottle that and tell a story around that is a lot of fun. So being able to do these like limited edition products is a lot of fun. I know I don't know, probably every company could probably do some kind of limited edition if it's like a special packaging or like a different kind of, like if you're making wallets, it's a different kind of leather or whatever it may be. I think there's usually ways of doing it. I know like it can, if you do it too frequently, then it no longer becomes special. So there's always that balance, and I don't know that right answer. And not of them, like there's also like understanding like what is that supply and demand, and how quickly do you want to sell out? Do you want to sell out in 2 days, or do you want to sell out in a quarter? And like what kind of urgency do you want to create? So there's a lot of strategy in that I wish I knew the answers, even after doing them, but I don't.
Yeah, I mean, probably some of it is kind of you don't know what the answers are. It's like excitement, right? Like you get to do this new thing and learn from another launch that you're doing. So do you do any like pre-sale or anything beforehand, or is it just like launch on the website day of, all the notifications are going out then, or do you do some stuff beforehand?
No, we do. So we try to drive people to sign up to our SMS
Hmm.
for early access. So I think like we typically will launch at like 10 o'clock, and then at 7 o'clock, if you're on the text list, we'll text it out. And that was really important when our strategy was like enough inventory to last a day or two, because then you can really drive that SMS acquisition, because it's like, hey, this is going to sell in 2 days. If you don't get the SMS, so you're pretty much going to be gone.
Right.
So that was, we were trying to shoot for, I don't know, I think it was like 2x or maybe 3x the amount of units that you had was kind of like the goal where I knew it'd be successful. And then, in addition to the SMS acquisition, you want to acquire emails as well. So there was like a lot of lead up, a lot of hype. I think the best ones that we've done were Black Sales and Bold Fortune. And Bold Fortune was with Jeremy, and he's a YouTuber. So he was able to create some really cool
Mm.
video assets that we could do as teasers beforehand. And Black Sails was a nautical theme, so we kind of had like this pirate-esque vibe to it, and like this black and white video that we teased out. And I think it was really easy and clear how we could describe the product. So um, yeah, those were a lot of fun because it was a lot of creative. It's a lot of work for like when you compare it to one of your staples, that
Right.
sticks around.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work compared to that, but I think it just like brings energy to your business. It brings excitement to your business, and it gets people like wanting to participate, and also not missing out on something that they may love.
Yeah, I feel like a big part of that is kind of like the FOMO, right? Like if you have really loyal customers of, oh, like I want to subscribe, I want to sign up because of XYZ, because of all these limited edition um offers, it drives, like, oh, I want to be aware, I want to be in the know, like, and then we always talk about this just being in the post purchase space of like where can you generate that excitement, because that's where brands stick, right? Like that's the money. That's where you're making those additional touches where someone's like, I'm truly like an advocate for this brand, where it's like they don't just have a good product, right? Like I think everyone would agree that you need a good product for someone to be a repeat buyer. But then if you go that extra step and you can generate that excitement either before they have the product or while they're buying it or even while they're waiting or once they have it, like those additional touch points are very, very strong, very valuable, like to you and your team and to them as well.
Yeah, there's this is I'm going to sound like I'm beating a dead horse, but um,
You have to
there's
hear
no
things
right.
a lot to make it
Yeah,
stick.
there's no right way or wrong way to build a business. The way we choose to build the business is we kind of think about what are the things that Amazon can do well, and
Mm.
what are the things it can't do well, and very specific advice and guidance is something that I don't think they can do well. So that's why we have style consultants, and a pleasant and nice unboxing experience, I think, is something they can't do well either. They just kind of throw stuff in with bubble
It's
wrap.
sometimes crazy the way you get
Yeah,
stuff. Yeah.
yeah. So we want to try to compete in ways that Amazon can't compete, and not try to compete with Amazon in terms of like getting stuff out in 2 days. Yes, we want to be quick, but we're not going to like spend all of our brain energy like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, we got to have 24-hour delivery. Da da da. It's because
And
like,
I imagine like you're not going to sacrifice the things that you just said, like the unboxing experience for that 2-day shipping.
well, and not only that, like if people want that, they're just going to go to Amazon. They're not going to take
Right.
a
Yeah.
risk on some kind of small independent brand, assuming that they have operations in line with Amazon. I mean, like, come on, like realistically, we're not going to be able to do that. We have to rely on third party parties, third party partners like USPS and DHL and FedEx to serve our customers, and like we can't make those guarantees. So um, I would encourage anyone, like if you are more customer oriented, then yes, you try to win them through that service and that experience. And you'll need a higher price point to justify those additional resources. But if you're very data oriented and almost kind of like well, just data oriented, then I would be much more inclined to be like an Amazon seller and focus on like the product, the features, and the price point, and have a very lean team with a lot less headaches, but a lot more efficiency. So your margin, ideally both businesses would be doing a similar net profit. It's just different ways of doing it and different kind of infrastructure for your back end of how your team is built out and how you allocate your resources.
Yeah, yeah. So talking about allocating resources, you all started off with just the, like you said, the SKUs around growing a beard and beard upkeep. So how did you start to expand then your product catalog? Like what was the process there? How did you decide where to go?
Yeah, I mean, if we go back to the really early days, we didn't actually know what kind of company we wanted to be.
Mm,
We've always been about, the brand and the mission. We haven't been like a product first company. So we used to sell like suspenders and wallets and
mm,
t-shirts and all sorts of kind of like accessories to accessorize the urban beardsman. Hell, I even sold olive oil at one point and some bracelets. Like been all over the
dabbling it all. Yeah.
yeah. So it was through doing that we realized that our customers were drawn to the grooming products, and we decided to focus on that. Um, we I like to be innovative with products. I don't like to make products that kind of already exist on the marketplace. So I like to do things a little bit differently. We were really early on the beard oil game,
Mm,
which no one was really producing at that time. So we weren't the first there, but I would say we were the first to kind of make it more acceptable. We have a utility balm that you can use on your beard, on your face, on your body, and that was on your tattoos. That was a great product to kind of go beyond the beard. And our
mm,
utility balm, was a great performer for us. And then our sea salt spray is also like been an incredible product for us. It's a hair styling product that will give you a beachy texture in your hair. It can kind of act as a what do they call it, dry shampoo, even though it's not
mm-hmm.
dry. But it can help extend the days in between washes, and for a lot of guys who are experiencing like fine hair or thinning hair, it's a great styling product because it's not going to weigh your hair down. It's not going to give it that greasy thin look. It's going to give you more volume, kind of dry um, look to it. So that product does really well for us on Amazon and of course on our store as well. And yeah, like I just kind of get inspiration for various products and trying to do things differently. So we have a full line of utility products that are incredibly versatile: our utility balm, or utility bar, utility wash, utility softener, utility oil. All of these products can be used on multiple different ways, uh, and our customers really get a incredible value for that, and are able to simplify, their space in their house, and also
Mm-hmm. Routines as well, I'm sure.
yeah, their
Yeah.
routines, and it's like one less bottle, or sometimes like three less bottles in the shower. But not only that, it's like it, I don't think anyone's been doing like premium kind of like luxury
Mm,
um, products, like the all-in-ones and the three-in-ones and stuff like that tend to be produced by these like brands that are sold in drugstores. You don't see a lot of premium companies offering these products. So I feel like we have a unique offering in the marketplace to really serve the needs of guys who understand the value of looking good, and the value of simplicity and time.
yeah, yeah. I feel like that's like knowing your customers, right? And knowing the pain points that you can reduce as a brand is so helpful because you can say like, you can reduce the space that your products are taking up. You can reduce your routine, but you can also trust that the products are better compared to maybe the other things that are on the shelf that you're looking at that are made by those bigger brands that you probably wouldn't have as much affinity for, because of all of the things that we discussed earlier.
Yeah.
So my
The,
yeah, go
uh,
ahead.
no, I was just going to say, like, the analogy I like to make is like we're selling, like, our products are the G wagons of the
Mm,
automotive world. Like if you really want
I
the
love
best
that.
solution, you buy a sports car. You buy a Jeep Wrangler, you buy a minivan, you buy like, or you could just buy a G wagon that does
Right.
everything like really well, like it's fast. it goes well off road. It carries a bunch of people, hauls your stuff around. And yes, it's not the fastest around the track. And yes, it's probably not the best off roader. And yes, it's probably not the best people mover, but it's really damn good at a lot of things. And we're not selling, the Chevy Equinox or whatever. We're selling the fucking G Wagon of products. So that's kind of the analogy I like to use when thinking about our products.
I could also see, like, I wonder if you would agree with this, like kind of like a timeless element. And I think that like speaks to your branding as well, kind of like through the years, it'll still stay like relevant. And I think I might have even read something where it's on your website of like not going with a fad. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, like it's we did a rebrand I guess the beginning of last year when we switched to aluminum packaging, and that was like our previous packaging we had for 10 years. So we're thinking about like just how do we do the next 10 years and do it in a way that can be timeless, that isn't really chasing trends and kind of can be something people can count on for a long period of time. So a lot of those decisions, like I wanted to move towards this like cyberpunk kind of like think Cybertruck or DeLorean vibe, or Blade Runner, like that kind of vibe. But I didn't want to bring that like kitschiness into the packaging. Like I didn't want to throw neon into the label and have like all the triangles and the sunsets, because I feel like that would get dated. But it's like the photography and the things like that we can integrate and tie into the packaging design is going to be like how we get there, or how the like maybe the website's designed, and we can kind of tweak and evolve the website as like online styles change and evolve, and we can tweak and evolve the photography as well. But you kind of do, or we wanted to have packaging that we felt like could stand for at least the next 10 years. So we'll see if that works or not.
We'll have to come back in 10 years. Yeah, we'll double check. Yeah, that makes sense of not wanting to put constraints on yourselves where they're perhaps maybe unnecessary. So you have these products. How do you take them to market is my next question for you. Like, what's your strategy? I know you said at the beginning of the episode, not really paid ads aren't a huge portion. It's more organic.
Yeah. I mean, at this point we're 10 and 11 years old. So we have a nice base of customers. So hopefully we're developing a product that will tie into our customers' lives and can kind of like bounce out a different product from a different company they're using. So like a new deodorant or something that enhances their life. So we would start with our customers, and our email marketing would kind of be our original go-to. And then, it's kind of like that constant reminder of what the product is doing. We do a lot of affiliate marketing. So we do PR outreach, and we'll try to work with like Forbes and GQ and Men's Health and get them the products and try to develop links. SEO has been a big part of us. So we do a lot of blog content, education, and then of course our YouTube channel, our TikToks or shorts will create content around the products, how to use the products, and educate people about the products. So we lean onto that. And then, this year we are trying to get into paid. I do feel like there's still opportunity in there if we can do it well. We just historically haven't been very good at it. So, we'll try again on year number 11. We'll see if it works or not. But I do think like, paid marketing, Facebook, Instagram is a great way of acquiring new customers. It just takes a lot of work and a lot of talent, I think, to be successful at it.
Yeah, you kind of have to crack the code, I feel like, with our organic. And even I like, just from this podcast alone, the difference in strategies that I've seen that every person takes is interesting. And I don't think, there's not one strategy. It's not like I feel like SEO is kind of, and of course you can never make a generalization for anything. I'm a true believer in that, but SEO I think is way more nowadays, way more like science data based than perhaps like social. We haven't gotten to that point, I think, where there's as much behind it. Like you have to, or at least the knowledge of that isn't as widely shared. Like I think there's all that work behind algorithms and whatnot, but I don't think it's the knowledge of that is as it doesn't touch as many as perhaps SEO could.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I don't know if I would even recommend building an SEO strategy now with like AI coming out and people just
Yeah,
like,
all the privacy updates. Yeah.
yeah. So I don't know like how you make sure that your products end up in the AI answers, and like how do you rank for that? It'd be like,
That's a good
hey, what are the
question.
best,
Yeah.
what are the best beard oils, Google Bard, and then like how do I get number one? Like, and are
Yeah.
people going to trust that, or are they not going to trust that? Like, so those are kind of like the interesting things that make business interesting, is because it's always changing and you always have to adapt to it. And if you're not willing to adapt, you will eventually fall. So it goes back to, again, early in the conversation, like how do you have that energy and passion to solve the problems, because the problems never end. They absolutely
Yeah.
never end.
Yeah. It's always, there's always going to be something new. And now I feel like currently as we're recording this, it's AI,
Yeah.
yeah, which is always fun. And yeah, towards that same conversation as well, just with TikTok, and now they're trending towards more of being like a search engine, right? So it's like with SEO and Google and everything we've known for the past X amount of years, that also is changing at the same time that, now a search engine and a social media platform are one of the same, and quite popular. So yeah, it's fascinating. I think I think it'll be interesting to see, of course, where everything goes. Um, and I also wanted to talk about the so with social, for the organic pieces that you're making with YouTube, because you started so early in the brand, do you feel like that's led to an increase in trust, like just kind of like a compounding effect through the years with your customers? Like if you, I guess my question is, if you hadn't had that approach with the organic education first, do you think your experience right now, or where your strategy is going right now, would look different if you didn't have like that piece?
Yeah, I mean, so kind of like the Beardbrand way is, ideally we give value first, and then hope that is reciprocated through a sale. It's not
Mm-hmm.
always done that way, but that's just kind of the mindset we have, is try to bring value to the world, and try to give our customers an experience that is as low risk as possible. YouTube's been great because it allows us to be ourselves and show who we are, and allows us to develop trust with our audience, which is one of our core values. So um, you can deliver a lot of information and build a lot of trust through sharing your own expertise with customers, and find like-minded people. So I do think like YouTube's been instrumental. It's been, probably drives about half of our customer acquisition is through YouTube awareness. However, it certainly comes with its challenges. We mentioned we've been doing it 12 years. That's a blessing and a curse, in the sense that you can kind of get pigeonholed into like a certain type of content. And
Mm.
then if that content, I don't know, like again, the best analogy to make is like, if your business is built around Saturn automobiles. I'm going to do a lot of car analogies for you
Do
today,
it, do it. Love
but
them.
let's say like your whole YouTube channel is built around Saturn, and then GM decides to shut Saturn down, and they're no longer making new cars. Then like, if you stay on Saturn, like eventually that's going to go down to zero as you lose all the customers in the audience. But if you make a switch to a different brand, you're going to lose everything that you've built, because they came in to
Mm-hmm.
watch like Saturn content. So like, how do you find the ability to kind of like trend and shift a community as large as ours? It's really challenging. So creating content that doesn't alienate or doesn't push away longtime subscribers, but can also still attract a new audience, is a really challenging problem.
Yeah. So is that how do you, like when you talk about bringing value to your customers? I know you have like the different, like you have like the consultations that you can have with your customer, or consumers can have with you all. You have like the membership as well. Are those like how you're looking at trying to bridge maybe like the gap between your like loyal like subscriber base and then the new things you're doing, or how are you trying to like close that gap? Is it something you're evolving and learning every day, or?
Yeah, so I mean, I think the style consultant is, again, I've got a guy here in the office who has great style, and he works out of his office is in the barbershop, so he sees what's going on. In Austin, I feel like is kind of forward thinking when it comes to style trends and things like that. So I just think it's really, it's something we do well. So why not share it with our customers and for people who, need help or guidance. And it's not really a huge burden. They just shoot us a text message and send us some selfies. And then, we give them a recommendation that they can take to their barber, and then their barber will do them up right. And then they send that photo again, and we're like, hell yeah, man, you nailed it. Or,
Love it.
maybe this isn't the best style for you, or maybe here's what went right or what went wrong. And like there is no, like, we're not charging for that service, so there is a bit of a risk and an investment on our end. But I do think when you tell them, like, hey man, if you want to style that hair, there's some styling paste in there and some sea salt spray, and here's how you do it, that people would be more receptive to grabbing those products. So and then the alliance is, again, like we've developed a community of like-minded people. So how do we help them, connect with other people? Because you might not be able to find those people in person. So being able to create an online community and every once in a while putting on an event in person that allows them to connect in person, I think is a special thing, as a lot of people. I mean, this is a deeper conversation, but like, the participation in religion has declined over the years. And, a big part of religion is that community. It's not just, believing in the dogma or the lessons or whatever, but it's also being around people. So when you lose that religion, you lose that community. And like, how do you help people who might not have that community find theirs and build it together and find healthy ones? Because you can also get down a negative rabbit hole of maybe not healthy communities, especially if you feel isolated, right? So you don't want to come into what are they, like incels and involuntary celibates, and just like the people who are miserable in life. So trying to create a more positive community that will help shape them in a positive outlook, I think, is something that's important. So we do it.
Yeah. I love that. And I think too, like it's kind of full circle, because you had said you had gone to an event that you yourself like found that community, right? So I imagine there might be a little bit of an element of like paying it forward or paying it back, of like, now you are here 11 years later, with this success and brand and community and everything that we've discussed for the past X amount of time. So I imagine that was maybe a little bit of inspiration of, I want to be part of an active force, also helping other people find that community.
Yeah, I think it's just natural to who I am, so it goes back to like, build a business that you enjoy. It's like, I enjoy being around people. I enjoy community. That's how, when I started growing a beard, I went to like online beard forums and talked with other people to figure it out. And yeah, it's just do the things that you love in life, and life will be pretty good.
Yeah. Well, I love that note. As much as I would love to continue asking you questions, I think I'm going to leave us off there. Thank you so much for making the time, Eric. I know we were connected and I was so happy when we were. And this has blown my expectations out of the water. So thank you for making the time.
Cool. I appreciate all that fluffery and compliments. I'll take them
Oh,
all day
that's
long.
my
So.
person, is I love to dish it out. So I'll always take the opportunity.
Lee, thanks for having me on.
Thank you.